You had older...
Well, I have 5 older brothers and sisters, but there's a 7-year gap, so they were a little bit more out of the house than I was.
So this is like your opportunity to work out what happens between brothers, or between a brother and a sister.
I've just recently heard this compared to brothers, and that makes sense to me, because with brothers, there is an affection, clearly, but you're both measuring yourself against the brother constantly as to who's doing, it can be who's being more like a traditional notion of a man, or in this case, the traditional notion of a good film critic, or whatever. I think that makes sense.
One of the things we disagreed about in talking about this was which one of us was the older brother.
Oh. Right. And
Both of us
who is the
other one is the younger brother.
Who is the older man?
Well, I'm 4 years older than Gene. 3.5.
You see, that's...
He's not competitive at all, is he? There it is. Look at that. He wouldn't even stand for a half a year. Oh, I feel so sorry for you that you needed to have to say that.
Actually, I think it's even more like 3 1/4 if you really stop to think about it.
All right, let's find out what's interesting here.
What's important about this is that whether they're brothers or brothers and sisters, any group of kids in a family needs to identify themselves as being special. We all want to be special. We want to be the one that stands out so the parents will love us because we are something. Now, parents feed into this because they say, this is my bright child, and this is my creative child, and this is my child who's maybe funny, or each child gets a label. And so this is how we start with this kind of competition and this kind of jockeying for position in the family, so that we can have one. What would be the word that you would describe yourself as?
But if you're the only child, you're all of these, are you not?
Yes, but then you look for these comparisons with other people, like setting up friendship relationships where she's the pretty one, but I'm the smart one.
Okay.
So that you feel like
I want to ask you one question before I give you the word that would describe me, which is what you asked me.
Yes.
Isn't it dangerous to lay these labels? I mean, terrible. I'm raising 2 small children now with my wife.
Good, excellent. That was the next point I was going to get to, that you really shouldn't label the child as having one quality, because that's what sets up then a tremendous competition, and that the child feels that they have to become that in order to feel that they deserve the attention.
You know, the very first producer we had, who was the woman who gave the show its form that it has had all these years, was a woman named Thea Flom, who treated us, we used to joke about it, absolutely even-handedly. Never in Thea Flom's mind was one of us better or worse than the other.
If she gave a compliment to one, she gave it to another. She was very she's excellent. No.
Roger, you were very concise in the way you expressed your feelings in very few words. Gene, I really like the way that you really spelled out what you meant. I mean, it just drove you crazy after a while. I said, well, what about, really though, Thea, didn't you think I was better? No, Gene was very good. Not better than you, but very good.
Now that Gene is gone, what you really think.
Yes, but see, there's the kernel of the point that's important for parents raising kids, too, that it should not be you are better than the next kid, smarter than the next kid, but what have you done that's good for your own abilities to fulfill yourself the most?
What's the word, Gene, you used to describe you?
Funny. Oh, yeah, that was the word always.
Look at this.
What is the question? I know they have the answer. We know he's funny, but what was the question?
Pick one word. Pick one word. You see,
he's still worried about how old he is. He can't figure that out yet.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I think your words are, but because you like to set up the friction first. You're the one seems to be the instigator.
Who, Roger?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Well, what's Roger's word for himself?
Okay, what's your word for yourself?
For myself?
One word.
Heart. What? Heart and funny. I think those are 2 good words.
Uh-oh, 2
I like
to 1,
that. I think it kind of describes the both of us. You know?
Now, would you guys go through this thing you had on the plane with the Michigan...
Well, you had a word that you thought...
Oh, did you have a word for Roger?
Instigator.
Instigator?
Oh, instigator.
And what is Gene?
Yes. Well, I don't know. There have been some instances I've heard of where you're the one to start the
Are you talking about the airplane card game?
Okay.
Yeah, what was that about?
Now, you heard about this, and you heard that I started it. But I happen to know that you heard about it from Gene. You see, we were playing a game called Michigan Rummy on the airplane. Now, we don't have to go into the rules of the game, because that would be boring. But if you want to discard a card, there was a place you put it, and that is known as the discard pile. And if you don't want to discard the card, you might meld it. Gene put a card that he intended to discard in a place where it appeared that he was going to meld it, and then wanted to take it back, even though it was a crucial turning point that determined who won the game. I was angry at him for doing this, and I said, this is the discard pile. If the card goes in that pile, then it's discarded. If it goes over here, it's not discarded. And then that led to words. Now, who was the instigator? The person who didn't know where the discard pile was, or me?
Let me make a point.
No.
I want to make a minute.
Wait a minute.
What is it? Is this a Russia?
No.
How about Comrade Siskel getting a chance to defend himself before I go to Siberia?
They must demand equal time. This is what happens in people who work together. It also happens in love
And I'm
relationships.
not getting equal time.
Enough about my view of this incident, Gene. Why do you think you put the card in the wrong place?
Don't lead the witness. The disc, when you first take the card off the deck, you put it by the side of the deck. We've done it every time we did it on the plane yesterday.
No. You put it by the side of the deck if you want to discard it. First, you look at it and see if you want to keep it.
Here was the problem. What had formerly been the discard pile was changed mid-game into another place, which was the discard pile, and I, who he just taught the game to 3 weeks before, put it in the former discard pile. I did not put it in the meld pile. And what I would say is there was confusion, so why don't you just ask, I mean, he's known me for 10 years at least, why don't you ask me what I intended to do with the card and leave it go? But no, he wanted to drive it
for
home.
anyone who is watching the show who knows how to play rummy, it might be interesting that after 3 weeks, Genius here still didn't know how to play the game.
Oddly enough, I didn't know how to play the game, but I'm up about $84 in gin playing against him.
But that's luck. This program is not about luck. This program is about charity.
That's not luck, because I got a check from $9.70 from you for yesterday. Week after week, I beat you. Airplane after airplane.
Of course, when he puts the card in the wrong place, naturally that attracts my attention.
All right,
Now,
hold it just a second.
Do you and I feel...
Presented this evening. Instead, stay tuned for a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Next on CBS.
My mama says my nose, the sun goes down, the night goes in.
You see me? See what?
All over
What? Nothing. So where are we going anyway? What are you asking me for? It's your town, pal. That's my song. My town. Hey, I'm there.
Great movie critic wars are all over television these days.
No less than